as starvation is spreading across Gaza. Do you find it difficult to come on here to defend that?
Mark, let's start with the facts, not the fiction. In Gaza today, there's no famine caused by Israel.
Yeah, that was fiction, though. That's not a fact, because there very much is mass starvation today in Gaza. And it will be there tomorrow because Israel doesn't want it to end. It's a useful tool, and I'll explain all of that. And it has been there for a very long time. Look at the photos, man. Look at the photos of people who've lost the vast majority of their body weight. Kids rotting away in real time. Oh, I guess the parents were just too goddamn lazy to get food. It's not a result of the blockades. It's not starvation by design. It's nothing like that. These people just like weighing 75 pounds. They would have you believe with a goddamn straight face. And so it is impossible to say how many people have already died as a result of this willful starvation, this starvation as a tactic of war. The WHO says 111 people have literally starved until they died, 25 of them being in the last 2 days, 4 of those being children. Now, I don't believe for a second that that's the actual extent of it, but even if that was the only extent of it, my God, it's 2025. There are mountains of food and aid just miles away from them, and they aren't allowed to have it because of the IDF and because of the military strategy of Israel. And if that was the only numbers, if that was it, this would already be a unique evil that the entire world needs to pay attention to, but you know that that's not the extent of it. It's certainly not the extent of the people who have died as a result of the desperation caused by the starvation. Now we're gonna get to what an aid organization says about this, but you need to understand that although there had previously been literally hundreds of aid sites where the little aid that actually was allowed by Israel to trickle through would be distributed so that some people could get some food, they have decided instead we're gonna set up only 4 aid drop sites. We're gonna put them all in South and Central Gaza. So any of you Palestinians still clinging to the hope that someday you can return to your homes or resume your life in North Gaza, come on, you gotta catch up. That's Israeli territory. So if you don't wanna starve to death, you need to start heading south fast so we can put you in our humanitarian city. And along the way, because there are only 4 sites and you have close to 1 million people desperate for food, that is gonna lead to absolutely massive crowds. Crowds lead to chaos, and we know how the IDF responds to that. And that is why you can't go more than 2 or 3 days without another massacre playing out at one of these sites. It's so routine these days that individual ones don't even get reported on anymore. Occasionally the Guardian or BBC or the New York Times will do a roundup of the most recent massacres that have been perpetuated against the Palestinian people. And it generally comes in the form of them just opening fire on these desperate, starving people. But that's not the only form it comes in. There have been a lot of bombings as well of cafes and hospitals, refugee camps, kids at streams collecting water have been blown up. I would love to hear how you thought that they were Hamas. I have no doubt that there are people serving the IDF that would say that to me with a straight face, but we all know what's really happening. Food and the very intentionally limited access to it is being used to draw the Palestinians down ever southward. And because the conditions are intentionally being made worse than they need to be, it's a tactic so that when they do start to say, oh, well, you know, if it's too rough here in this humanitarian city, you can always fly to some other country and just give up on Gaza. You're creating the conditions where more and more Palestinians will be forced to do that because they don't want to watch their kids, their spouses, their parents literally starve to death in front of them. And again, all of this is needless. There is enough food to feed every man, woman, and child there. In fact, we're igniting the food that we could send if we wanted to. The United States alone could do all of this. It's an intentional thing. And now I want to turn to some of the aid organizations that are desperately trying to get the world to pay attention to this. So this is a letter that was put together by 100 different organizations. And they say, as the Israeli government siege starves the people of Gaza, Palestine, aid workers are now joining the same food lines, risking being shot just to feed their families. With supplies now totally depleted, humanitarian organizations are witnessing witnessing their own colleagues and partners waste away before their eyes. Just outside Gaza, in warehouses, and even within Gaza itself, tons of food, clean water, medical supplies, shelter items, and fuel sit untouched, with humanitarian organizations blocked from accessing or delivering them. The government of Israel's restrictions, delays, and fragmentation under its total siege have created chaos, starvation, and death. And I will add my own commentary. Every bit of that is by design. Every bit of that was predicted when they decided to switch over to this model, giving the middle finger to the UN and international aid organizations actually experienced in distributing food and aid. And they said, no, we're gonna do these 4 little sites. We're gonna man them with Israeli soldiers. Every one of them was told, this is gonna result in chaos. This is gonna result in crowds. It's gonna result in violence. And that has been the result, almost as if that was the intended purpose of it. And to move on to more from the letter, an aid worker providing psychosocial support spoke of the devastating impact on children. Children tell their parents they want to go to heaven because at least heaven has food. What are we doing? Meanwhile, Congressman Randy Fine, Republican congressman, says, release the hostages. Until then, starve away. He was responding to a tweet that references those who are starving, including the kids. And Randy Fine can just say that those kids should starve to death unless other people, not them, the kids don't have hostages. It's like, whatever, if the kids starve to death. And look, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm gonna be totally upfront. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. We need to. I'm literally saying in this clip that we need to, but I don't want to. It's too much. And in particular, I know 2 things. I know 1, nothing's gonna be done to change it. Even if we're lucky enough that the media actually covers it, because nobody in position of power wants anything other than the devastation we're seeing. Israel, they want them all to die. That's literally, they just want them to die, because anyone who doesn't die has to be shipped somewhere, and that costs money. And so they're just weeding out the population. They're cutting it down to a more manageable number. That's all they're doing. And Donald Trump doesn't care. We funded those new 4 sites that are resulting in massacres multiple times a week. We paid $30 million. Donald Trump, who doesn't want a cent of international aid going out, funded these. The ones resulting in Palestinians being gunned down. Again, not an accident. He found something in US foreign aid that he liked, and it was the massacres. And also, I cover this knowing that even many people who might like my commentary on stuff aren't gonna give a damn and aren't gonna pay attention to it. Like, forget our enemies, they're not gonna pay attention to this. The vast majority of Republicans don't care. Starve literally every single one of these kids. They're not people, they're literally not people. You don't have to think about them. But a lot of Democrats aren't gonna care either. And a lot of Democratic media aren't covering this. Some are, I mean, the New York Times, again, has been reporting on this. Washington Post will occasionally do a report or whatever, but it's not a thing that gets talked about much. And I understand, again, I get super depressed. I literally want to cry when I read that comment about, I have a young child. I have a daughter who's not even 2 years old. And the idea that she would be in a position where she's begging for death so that at least she'll have food in the afterlife is too much to bear. And it's just being allowed. How are there not international sanctions on Israel? How has the UN not sent in forces to take control of the situation? Even if none of the devastation, none of the massacres, none of the mass killings and all that had been done, what Israel will do in Gaza tomorrow would merit an international response. What they're planning to do in the next week and month would be the most evil the world will see in that time. Even if all of the other deaths, the mountains of dead kids and civilians didn't exist, all of that would still be the case. And instead, we'll go along with it, we'll fund it. Donald Trump and Jared Kushner will someday shoot a promo video touring the new resorts. Once Gaza has been paved over and turned into a resort, they will film goddamn videos to put out on TikTok on it. I guarantee it. And maybe Bezos will be there. Maybe Zuckerberg will buy like a house or something, beachfront property. Forget about the ocean of blood that was shed to get to that point. Forget about the starvation or encourage it like some Congress people do. More than 1,000 people have been killed by Israeli gunfire since those food distribution sites were opened up. 1,000 people. 1,000, like that's almost an October 7th, just in people being gunned down trying to get food. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do if you're in Gaza? You're watching your kids starve to death. You have to go there knowing there's a very good chance that you will be shot and you will be killed. Just desperately trying to get a little bit of formula, a little bit of food, a little bit of flour. And nothing will be done. I don't like to, I like to end with like a call to action or like a reason for optimism. And I would do that if I felt any of it, but I don't. All we can do is bear witness to the most evil our world has seen in living memory, playing out every single day in full view. And this is what we're allowed to know about it. Because of course, at the same time that Israel isn't allowing aid in, they're also not allowing journalists in, which is really a vote of confidence for the morality of your military occupation when you desperately don't want the media to be covering in real time the stuff that's happening there.